I'm half a Xanax in this morning, so
No, thank you. I can't be there.
So I'm like,
I
they
started
got me right
taking.
there with the artificial serotonin.
Oh no, what if they know that I unfollowed them?
I thought we just got this figured out.
Got the headphones and everything.
Yeah, girl.
Trying to
Listen,
make us look legit.
I feel like I've been letting you down with like audio lately. So I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? Amazon.
Hi, welcome back.
I feel like we've never ever lived authentically the name of our podcast more than right now. Because our group chat is non-existent. And we're like, the only way to make it happen is to do a podcast. Life is wild right now. My life is insane. Yours?
Also,
Is it just everybody? It's just everybody. Uh,
Welcome to Out of the Group Chat podcast. This is your host, B. I'm here with Hannah and Mary Kate. Welcome back. It's been a minute.
have you guys seen the memes of since we're in a new year, 2025? Have you seen the I'm not interested in a new year. Could I get like a slightly used like 2008 or, low mileage 2012? Like, have you seen those?
I've seen the one, I shared the one that was like, nobody claimed 2025 as their year. Nobody do it. Like, we're all gonna walk in real quiet. Nobody touch anything. Keep your hands to yourself. Nobody talk loud. I'm on that. I'm on that trip. No, 2025 ain't nobody's year. Where no one's claiming it.
Play it cool, everybody.
Just
Be cool.
Be
do not
cool.
rush the court. We've been here before. Everything's fine.
So let's just look at some things from the algorithm, things that you might have Googled in the past, several months. And I think we need to talk about Lindsay Lohan's glow up. I feel as a member of our generation, she needs a shout out and she needs a round of applause. And whoever her doctor is, whatever she's doing, I would like to subscribe.
You know what I think she's doing? Less. I think she's pulled it back a little bit and she said, you know what, let's do this better. So she did less and then she did, she up leveled. Also, I think maybe she's drinking more water.
Could be. I've also heard too that a lot of like some of these celebrities, you've seen their facial changes so much, is they're getting rid of
Hmm.
fillers and a lot of stuff they've used before. So again, I think you're right on target with maybe just less.
So there's a video out of her boyfriend saying that they both use purified beef tallow on their face as their moisturizer.
Can I tell you, some of my friends and some people I only follow on the internet who I want to be my friends have started like a Farm Wives tallow company. Like they've all gone in together. They are in different states. And I think it is so dope. Like I want to order some.
I went to the butcher 2 weeks ago and I was like, so can I get some tallow? And he looked at me like I was an idiot. And I was like, okay, maybe we'll have this conversation at a later time. Maybe we're not there yet in South Texas. Uh,
Farm Wife tallow. That's it. Farm Wife tallow.
I'm interested in trying it. I feel like I mean, if it's a one ingredient, two ingredient situation,
Okay, so on the track of doing less, I had a facial the other day and the girl was asking me like what I use on my face and I flat out told her that I have found that the less I do, the better my face does. The less I put on, the better it does. Especially like when we were in Arizona last summer, like I did nothing to my face and it just was able to just, I don't know, purge itself of everything. And it never looked better. So I've kind of kept with that mentality of the less ingredients, the less products I'm putting, the better.
I'm mad right now. I pay for Hydrinity, and they have an HA serum, and that's the one I ran out of first, and I refuse to rebuy it right now. I'm trying to find something that is similar. I can tell, so I have really bad melasma on my face, and I can tell it's coming back. And I think it's because I'm not using that specific thing. But I had some friends send me some dupes, so I need to order and try them because,
You'll have to let us know how it goes.
yeah.
I had remembered a previous conversation we had had about water recently, and I could tell that my skin was just so dehydrated. And I'd been doing all of the things, the water mask that we all love, and all of the things. And then I said, what if I just do liquid IV every day for 7 days? Sure enough, my forehead wrinkles just popped right away.
So that is
So-
something I've added is either like massaging my face or using my gua sha with an oil-based cleanser that my esthetician encouraged me to use. She was like, do that. She's like, but still wash your face afterwards. Get that oil-based cleanser like off your face. I feel like it's working. I feel like it's working.
Is it interesting for you guys to be de-influenced in the terms of all three of us have stepped away from social media pretty significantly, and now we are seeing less and less of people selling us stuff just by the nature of not being online?
Let's talk about that because that's actually on our list. I think it's this wave of 2025 where I felt it personally around Christmas time where I was just, for a lot of reasons, felt like I just wanted to be done with social media. I'm just sick of it. I think the catalyst was kind of around Christmas time where I saw all these influencers trying to sell products and like portray this idea of the holidays that just aren't realistic. And honestly, I was tired of feeling like I was scrolling through the Home Shopping Network every time I turned around. Somebody was trying to sell me something and it felt icky. And then it was people I know in real life that I see interacting on Facebook or on Instagram. And it's like, if the world only knew what was really going on behind the scenes, and then you see what they're portraying in real life, and it's like, if that's not the perfect definition of how fake social media is, and just tired of the junior high BS, I just was like, you know what? I need to step away for a minute. And I actually did like a little just kind of experiment when we were away at Christmas of like, okay, one day I'm just not going to touch my phone at all and see how I feel. And then another day when I was kind of idle, I would fill those gaps with scrolling. And guess what? I felt better on the days that I just was not attached to my phone.
I did I think I talked to Brooke about this. I went and did a big deep clean. So I've been keeping my Facebook deactivated unless I have something I need to do for work. So you can't separate anymore. You can't just like have a Meta account. You have to have it linked to your personal account, which kind of stinks. Mine on Facebook isn't, it's all the Facebook groups I'm in. All, especially the local groups that just start about stuff they don't know about, like the courthouse they're building, and they're like, why are the lights on at night? And just like stuff where you're just like, oh my gosh. And it's like the same stuff. And it just exhausts me. So even now when I log in and I have to do something for work, I have all of those muted so I can't see them. I have to keep them because I have to share stuff in there from about work or about the t-shirt shop or about my beef, right? Like I have to be a part of those, but I have them muted so they don't even show up on my feed. But I did go in and I was very intentional on Instagram. And there are some influencers that I love. I love Rambling Redhead. Like I love some of those. I went and unfollowed a ton of them, especially the ones that share the same stuff over and over, where you're like, oh, Amazon just sent you a box of clothes because you're sharing the same box this girl's sharing. And I get that there's a strategy behind that, right? I have found some influencers that I find are way more authentic and they're not just pushing stuff to push stuff. Gosh, what's the one girl? She was living in England and now she's back in the US in South Carolina. Love her. I'll find her, but she's more about like sustainable clothing and like mixing and matching and being able to feels way more authentic. But I went through and I cleaned out my Instagram by like 1,000 people that I followed.
So I have a rule where unless I would stop and talk to you at Walmart, unless I'm going to comment on your post, I can't follow you online. That's just been kind of a rule. I want my social media I want it to serve me. I want it to feel like 2005 again, where I know everyone and I genuinely want to keep up with what's going on in their life or in some way be entertained. I mean, like Nat Geo photographers, I love them. Don't know them, but like I would talk to them at Walmart. That's kind of like my guiding rule. And then I'm just a people pleaser. So sometimes I'm like, oh no, what if they know that I unfollowed them? It's like, no, that's so silly. That's so silly. So I only follow someone if I'm genuinely going to comment on their post.
I like that. I like that as a rule.
So also, I guess we really don't have to worry about TikTok since the news came out today that the Supreme Court said, nah, you're out of here. We're all learning Mandarin now. We're all going
Have you guys
to
seen
Fred.
Have you guys seen the stuff from Duolingo? I love
Yeah,
their
it's
marketing
like
team, and they're like, "Oh, so what? Now everybody wants to learn Mandarin?"
Oh, that's funny.
I think we've all seen just, I don't know. I don't know if it's just starting off a new year or just needing to scale back, be more intentional with our interactions, even if they are online, and just kind of eliminate the fakeness and kind of searching out authenticity. And I've noticed a difference. I feel different. I feel happier, feel,
well, you guys know how I feel about engaging online. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you the real. You want to see bald Uncle Fester? Like, that's me. Like, I just put on today that was like, hey, I might look like I have it all together, but I am currently at this moment actively producing two very large events. I have no idea when my next scan is. I have a 4-H project tonight or event tonight that I am trying to figure out how to do because it's my first rodeo. And like, please don't think I have it all together because I, in fact, do not. We are all just doing our best.
I do really like the idea of since I've gone and cleaned out social, I'm engaging more with people that I just haven't seen in forever that I love to death. And I'm like, oh, I never saw them before because I was following so many people. The other thing that really changed, I put a time limit on my phone. So I have an hour and a half time limit. Don't get me wrong. I still am like, give me 15 more minutes, give me 15 more minutes. But then I never ignore it for the day. I make myself hit that, give me 15 more minutes so that I'm cognizant of how much time I'm spending on my phone.
well, and you guys have seen this, like, since I'm not posting on social media, you guys are now the direct recipients of all the
Oh,
things
I
that I
love
would
it.
be posting. And so you guys, and like, I have a
You're my
couple
new
others.
Instagram stories.
Yeah.
Right. Like, hey
Yeah.
guys, at my computer with my dog.
Yeah. Like instead of posting that stuff, I'm just actually sharing it with the people that I talk to every single day. And I think that's funny. I'm
Your
like,
hair looks so good today.
thank you.
It's
Thank you.
different. Something's different. What is different?
she
I just styled it
breaks.
differently, and then like my color is finally kind of settling into what I want. It's
It's like
like
old money blonde.
old money, not high maintenance, like my naturals really coming through, but I still have like the brightness down here. My grays are coming through.
Can I tell you, and I am not blowing smoke here, this may be the most beautiful I've ever seen you. Like your skin is popping, your hair is popping, like you're doing
Thank
something
you.
different with like your eyeliner.
It's because I'm not scrolling on social
Copy
media.
paste this to every day.
Well, and I went so far as to make a list of things I could do when I felt like I wanted to scroll. And so it was like reading, embroidery, a Bible study I've been trying to get through. Apparently, during Christmas, I realized I love to color. So my mom even got me a set of like grown-up alcohol markers and coloring book for my birthday. And so it's just like redirecting, like almost with a little kid, redirect. When I want to scroll, how do I redirect? And, that's what happens.
I feel like I'm getting a lot more stuff done around my house too. Instead of like, because I'm one of those people that feels like I need like time to like work on things, like, oh, I want to clean the whole house, right? When I'm not doing social media, I put on my audiobook and I just roll through tasks like, oh, I'll do one load of laundry, I'll do the sheets, I'll organize Reed's toys. Like instead of feeling like I need a massive amount of time to get all of that done. Oh, you've hit your limit on social. It's time to listen to your audiobook and like do some things around the house.
Do you know what's dramatically changed my life? And that sounds dramatic, but it is. That Mel Robbins podcast I listened to at the beginning of December has drastically changed my approach to how I'm living. And that sounds so silly, but I think it was like the right message at the right time exactly when I needed to hear it. And I could have 4 bucket loads of things I need to carry and to get done today. And I'm finding myself not stressed. Like, I understand it's a lot, but I'm not letting it like impact my stress, which I would say has never, ever, ever been the case for my person ever. I mean, Hannah, you've known me since for how long? Like, I'm just naturally like, oh no, 19 things on my plate. I should be 19 levels of stressed. And now I'm like, that's fine. Well, you passively sent it to me like 3 times before I listened to it. And then I have since sent it to multiple people.
Maybe I thought you needed to listen to it.
Yeah, clearly, clearly.
Can I circle back on something really quick that I forgot to tell you
Yes.
about? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So obviously we have like the no socials or very limited socials, but a friend and I decided that 2025 was going to be the year of cool hobbies
Mm.
because I find myself, I was scrolling, I didn't have time, and I'm like, I have no hobbies when, like, we all know our husbands are out here hunting and golfing or whatever it is. I never had time for hobbies, and it's like, maybe it's time I need to. So tonight, kicking it off for 2025, we are going to a pottery class. I'm
Oh.
going to attempt to make some sort of mug or something. Also, I've been like in love with my film camera. And we found that my nephew told me about this in California, but apparently there's one in Houston. There are public dark rooms where you can go and develop your own film. That sounds, maybe I'm going to learn how to develop my own film and go hang out in a public dark room. But I think
I
it's
feel
just
like you've
like this.
unlocked your retirement era.
Yes, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
You
that.
know, there's a group of local girls here who are very into embroidery, like hand stitching. Is that what that is? Like,
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes there's cross
yeah,
stitch.
cross
Sometimes
stitch,
people
cross
cross
stitch.
stitch.
Yes.
Okay.
And I love that we went on a girls trip in December and like in the back seat in the SUV on the way home, like one of my friends was just cross stitching in the back seat with her little light. And I loved that. I think I don't know what mine is. I don't enjoy coloring. It's not the vibe for me. Have been consuming a lot of books.
I would say I've had a lot of fun doing sticker books with my child and coloring Paw Patrol.
Yes.
Ooh, oh guys, remember the text I sent you about the coloring book Elsie found?
Yes.
Oh, right.
I can't put
Yeah,
that on social media, so we can talk about it here for our 3 listeners. So during the
I have one.
yes,
Even baddies get saddies.
yeah. So Elsie found an adult coloring book that someone gifted Damon during the bald season. And the coloring page, like we didn't realize she'd found it. Like it was in the garage somewhere. And she was just bebopping around, like coloring it and doing a beautiful job. And it said, son of a little puppies, because they're little
The
sons of
puppy. Brooke and I have talked about this where I'm like, I need a hobby, but I also feel like I'm too busy to have a hobby. I think
You think you're too busy.
I know.
your
Books.
current live season is a little chaotic.
It
Yeah.
is.
I think letting my audiobooks be my thing because I still have a bunch of physical books and I've tried getting through one of them. So I let that be. But something I did pick up was Bible study.
I'm
So
proud of you for that. I think that is a hobby. You're meeting with someone or your
yeah,
group, right?
a group. Yeah. So I'm meeting with a group. So I get 2 hours of flex each week. And so our church is doing like a Bible study on Wednesday mornings and it backs to my lunch. So I can take an hour of flex to
Oh,
go to
so
that
smart.
Bible study with a group. And it's a Jen Wilkins Bible study. So I'm pretty pumped about it.
Okay, well, speaking of that, that's like a perfect segue. What have you guys been reading?
Best book I've listened to recently, which is complete surprise because I hate memoirs. I don't like them. They're not my favorite. Someone suggested to me Pat Conroy's The Water is Wide. It's not a new book. It's an old book. It's his memoir. Probably one of the best books I've ever read. It's about him teaching a group of Black children back when segregation was still happening on this island outside of South Carolina, which I didn't even know was a thing. And so it has a lot of like race and culture and like did he make an impact on their life? Did he not make an impact on their life? It was beautifully written. I'm excited to read some more of his books that aren't memoirs because he's known for his just how beautiful he writes. Easily one of the best books I've ever read. I've read Atomic Habits, or not Atomic Habits, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a I've had that one for a long time. I was like, crude title. Don't think I'll like this. I also don't like people telling me what to do, and I'm trying to get away from self-help. I actually really liked it. The one I'm listening to now on Libby, I'm really into. Oh, what was the one I listened to? Everyone thought was so great, and I was like, nah. The God of the Woods. Have y'all listened to that or read that? I think it was good. I think it was a good book. It was on Reese Witherspoon's list and all these people's lists, and everyone gave it 5 stars. And I'm like, it was good. But when there's that much hype around a book, you're like, oh, this is about to be like awesome.
Bingo. I also don't trust those because I'm like, are they in some kind of deal to promote this book or is it really a really, really good book? And so
What?
again, I don't trust influencers.
Well, and I had seen like even some local girls here that do book accounts. And one of them, like I know she does more romance stuff, which this book is The God of the Woods is not a romance book. She had given it 5 stars. And so like I thought it was a good book, but it wasn't like a knock your socks off book. But I am listening right now to If Something Happens to Me by Alex Finlay. Finlay. It's really good. I am very invested. I need to know what happens. What about y'all?
I just finished The 5-Year Lie. It was
Ooh,
cute. I couldn't figure out the ending. I liked that. That helps my ADHD brain. But there is a book that I started recently. I'm not even going to tell you the title because I was 50% through it via audiobook style, like listening. And I was like, surely this book is over. And I found out there was 50% left. I was like, abandon ship. I can't do this.
good.
Like, why? And it wasn't even like a long, like I've listened to long books. This book just felt long. It was awful.
I'm
Need the
glad
pace
that
a little
I'm
faster.
glad that you DNF'd it because I feel like our personalities types are
Have
not
to
the
see
type.
it through.
Yeah, and then you get mad because you're like, this
Yeah.
wasn't even a book. Why did I spend all this time on it? It's like, okay, nope, I'm not feeling it. I'm not gonna feel guilty about not finishing it.
This is unrelated. Back to TV shows. I don't know. I'm pivoting there. Did you guys watch 1923 or whatever it is, the Yellowstone, whatever?
I
We
watched
just watched it. We just finished it last night. I know we're like a year too late. I had ulterior motives on it in that I have planned an anniversary trip and the second season comes out the weekend of our anniversary trip. So I feel like we can binge it. Dude, the guy that plays Spencer is so hot. He's in that movie with Blake Lively or whatever, and I thought he was like okay in that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't see him as like an attractive person. Like I don't know. But in this movie, I'm like my type is clearly wildlife man.
it.
Man who can shoot lion and keep me safe. So it turns out I have a type and I like rugged men, which also I guess goes to the type of books I like to read. Carry on.
So I tore through some Elsie Silver books. We know those.
The last one I read was Wild Love or
That's the one I just
something.
finished. Yeah.
Okay.
Hilarious banter. I love it. And then the other things add to it as well. But
Okay,
the
listen,
okay.
I can't. You know when people back in the day when guys would be like, I read Playboy for the stories and you're like, yeah, whatever, whatever. Listen, you make me read one of these books and it comes to a spicy, I am for sure doing the 15-second skip ahead. I'm just like, nope, gotta get to this story.
No, and you don't go to Hooters for the fried shrimp.
Did you guys know I went to Hooters on my last chemo day because it was a celebratory for the boobs?
I love
Everyone was so uncomfortable, and I thought it was hilarious.
it.
Speaking of good stories, I went through my sister's Goodreads at Christmas and like
Okay, that's too much. Like, you can't go through someone else's book list. Like, that's too
sure did.
personal.
Sure did. Sure did. I blushed a little bit, but I was like, "Ooh, I read that too."
Oh, I'm so
Okay,
uncomfortable.
so she got me on to this Electra McDonald series. I'm now waiting on book 3. I absolutely love it, and nobody's even taken their pants off yet, and I am hooked.
So uncomfortable.
Let me give you the preface of this, okay? It's set in like 1940s World War II London, and this girl and her family are locksmiths by day, but safecrackers and thieves by night.
Okay.
And they're in the middle of robbing somebody's safe and they get caught. But it ends up being this military operative that's like, okay, you can either go to jail or you can help me on a project. I need to get into a safe. So naturally, they choose to march along those lines instead of going to jail. And then it just like
And they end up in
snowballs.
jail anyway.
No, no.
Oh, okay.
They're still helping the government and they're like it evolves to different cases and now this woman is becoming a spy and then all these different like fun espionage tales and I am hooked and I love it.
I might
So
like
fun.
that because I'm not a love story person, but that I probably like.
There's one simmering below the surface, and I really hope they get together. But for the most part, it's
Yeah.
fast paced. It's great. And like just the imagery, and you can picture yourself there in the 1940s with her. And let me tell you, those Brits are very emphatic about their tea. It's like every time they start a conversation, they need to put the kettle on. And I'm like, what is with these Brits? And their tea. And I'm kind of glad we threw it in the harbor because it's just,
You don't
anyways,
like tea?
I just never mind. It was a joke. It went on. It sailed.
Okay.
It sailed.
I I am really excited for did y'all do Fourth Wing?
It's one of those like I refuse because of the hype. Just like why I won't read Colleen Hoover.
Are you sure you're not an Enneagram 5? Because that's kind of the whole thing of an Enneagram 5. That's like, oh, people are into that. Not me.
Maybe it's like a secret wing.
Yeah. Things we have in common. Oh, that's cool. Don't care about it.
I am pretty pumped for Onyx Storm to come out. I think it's January 21st, but I'm hoping that Audible releases it because let's be real, I'm not gonna physically read the book. Not gonna do it. So that one's coming out.
And I love how our brains are wired because I cannot do an audiobook unless I'm in the car by myself. Like I can't go about my day, like I cannot. But I like to sit and read and hold the book and like my brain can just shut off. And I think that's the other reason why I enjoyed coloring because it was something that I could do, but I could still be in tune with what was going around me. Like I didn't have to shut my brain off to concentrate on a book. But audiobooks are a
Mary Kate,
struggle.
this is a like literal case study example of how someone has ADHD and someone has a normal operational brain. I think you could figure out who is who, you know?
I think
Like
it's
for me to sit there and like read a book, I'd be like this the whole time. So I'm like doing the dishes, doing the laundry, mopping the floor, and I'm totally in. I like see the movie around me. Like I'm literally inside of the book while it's happening. And I totally don't even realize I'm doing all the chores.
See, I can't. Like, I need to just stop. And I'm in the movie too. Like, I'm in
Yeah.
it. I live it, breathe it. But I just want to, that's where I'm at. And I can't go and
Brains
do,
are so weird.
I know.
I'd love to listen in the car, but I like listening at home too, but I can't listen while I'm working. Brooke knows this. If she calls me and there's music on, it's like deep piano focus music. It's like
It's so
she's
true.
like, what is this spa music happening? And I'm like, listen, I need something to calm my little brain, but it can't have words because then I'll start singing the song, but I need to be able to focus, but I have to have some noise.
That's
Yeah.
how the teacher is. That's how the math teacher is at the junior high. She has to have music in the background constantly. So she's always listening to like that lo-fi, like, it's like you
Me.
can recognize tunes, but it's like the lo-fi version of it. Really funny.
I listen to
Guys, guess what got delivered to my email yesterday?
what?
Boys
Our
from Oklahoma.
tickets. Yeah. Yes, they did. Sorry, I just remembered and I got excited because I was seeing your faces. And I
Oh.
think that's the next time.
For sure
Yeah.
get to see each other.
I gotta put that on my calendar.
It's going to be like a weird crossroads because I think there's some of my friends from here are coming to the concert. I don't know if we're getting to go on the same day, but there's going to be some crossover and it's going to be like you're going to get to see College Mary.
There's no way they're going to see that because I do not believe you could lean in that hard. I saw
think
it.
I could.
I saw it firsthand. I don't think Joseph wants to see it.
I don't know if he has seen it in full force.
Listen,
Let's
you're
try it.
like 10 years in. He's not going anywhere now. So just like YOLO.
This just came to mind like when we're talking about past lives. How do we feel about the reincarnation of Spencer Pratt and Heidi
Love it.
Montag?
Love it. I love it. I want TikTok to stay just so I can watch Spencer's TikToks every day. Like I'm so into it because I feel like he was villainized and he was never the villain. And I'm obsessed with it. And I'm like, yeah, you support your queen. You get her trending on all of the places.
Yes,
Heck
and
yeah.
always wearing her shirts and stuff. I love it.
Yes. Also, when people are like, you're rich, you should just build a new house. And he's like, what? Like I made money off a reality show 20 years ago. You think that's still buying my $1,500 grocery bill? Because, like, has anyone been to the grocery store lately? Can you imagine how much groceries are in California? I bet they're nuts.
And I heard him say he was like posted a headline where it's like saying that they lost a $2.5 million house. He's like, yeah, it wasn't worth that. It was only like a 3,000 square foot. And then he was saying, then the one that really set me where he was just like, all these years Everybody
You've
told
been
me
saying I'm poor.
I'm like a washed up B-list or D-list celebrity, but now suddenly I'm rich and famous just because my house burned down. I'm like, oh, the irony, but I love it because he is just like leaning into it and owning it. And
I
everybody's like
also,
coming full circle and rallying behind him.
okay, when he was like, Heidi, your song, it's gonna be whatever. And she's like, okay, come to bed. And she's like, just could we go to sleep? I'm in my 30s. I have small children. I'm tired. Like, it's fine. We'll look at the charts in the morning. I love her for that. Speaking of this era, I saw someone post the other day about like what the inside of Hollister looks like today, and the lights are all on. I was like, that's the whole point. You're not supposed to know exactly what you put in your bag and you purchased until you get home.
And you're supposed to be overwhelmed with the smell of cologne.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, things have changed. I guess they think we're
We
old and we don't want that experience anymore.
we obviously sound like we have not been taking a sabbatical from social media.
I mean, that's old news. Like, I saw that a while ago. There is someone I dated in college who was never interested in social media. And I mean, I don't know this person now. Every now and then I'll be like, does that person still not have social media? And like still doesn't. And I think about it from what a cool situation to have like no or barely like digital footprint. Like what a novelty that is.
So
And I
my
kind of think it's so cool.
so my cousin, that him and I are closest in age, we were just like a year apart in school. His wife, Praise, who I went to school with, she's my age. She had MySpace when we were in high school. She has nothing. And he's like, oh yeah, and she just flew out to he's like, you remember Renee from school? I'm like, yeah. He's like, she just flew out to see her for a few days. And I'm like she only keeps in contact with her friends via calls and text messages and handwritten letters. Like she has no social
I
media.
love
I'm
it.
here for it.
I think
I'm
it's
here for
so
it.
cool. We were like kind of trained in social media that like we needed to document every second of our life, every second of the day. And I kind of fell into that trap for a long time. For, there was a time it was like therapy for me. But now it's so fun to be like, I went on a whole trip and no one knows about it except maybe someone who stalks my location.
I mean, I sent you guys like our Christmas pictures from our trip and
Yeah.
like they were not posted.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
And I may
I'm here
start
for it.
doing handwritten letters. You guys just wait. If you get something in the mail, get excited.
Nothing stresses me out more than having to go to the USPS.
I'll address it to your house, so they'll bring it to you.
Okay.
With that, I feel like that leans into something I've been thinking about, which is,
This could go so many different ways.
I'm on the edge.
well, no, because I don't want to say New Year's resolutions because I hate that. I feel like we're moving away from resolutions, right? And like more towards like intentions.
Proclamations.
But New Year's intentions. And one of my intentions this year is to be a better friend to my friends, like to my close friends, like not be a friend to everybody, right? Like, because I'm one of those people that like I pick up strays. I'm like, oh, this person and this person. Like, I don't have time for that. For example, like I felt like I had an opportunity the other day. My friend is a nurse practitioner. She had had some really bad clients for a few days. She works at a low income, like health hospital. And I was like, you know what I could do today? I could go by her office and drop off her favorite coffee and some flowers and just be like, just brighten her day, right? Like, I know stuff like that would brighten my day. And I used to do that a lot. Like, if I had friends having a bad time, like, I would ship them flowers or send them a note in the mail, like, just being more intentional about like being a solid friend or like just showing up or making time for friends, right? So that is, sorry, I was shifting to like intentions for the year. I think my intention is to feel less busy, but like focus in on things that I like doing. Spend more time with my little family, my little child that I love so much, watching him discover new things and being like an intentional friend and like just intentional in life. So curious, have you thought about your intentions or a word or your resolutions for the year?
I feel like Mary picked one for me, but now I can't remember what the word was.
We did
The
talk about
sentiment was to like,
Yes, I remember, but I don't remember what your word was. I gave you a word. How did I phrase it? Along the lines of rewriting your story.
yeah.
like evolution.
No, it's more like taking back ownership of my story. I don't really know if we came to a word, but it's like instead of like becoming at what everyone wants me to be, a cancer patient, sick, inspirational, it's like, what if I'm just me. And I'm a great friend and a great business owner and a great communicator professionally. And like, what if that's enough? And maybe I don't have to be a hero to everyone except my friends and my family. And if it trickles over, that's fine. But I'm just going to show up how I need to show up.
Let that be a footnote,
Yeah.
not the title of the book.
I think authentic feels right, but then it's almost like you want to be intentional too.
And just kind of like in charge of her day to day, you know, not letting others define what her story is, and kind of let some of those things of the past kind of trickle down to the footnotes rather than direct her every day.
I will
Less
tell you
that.
the foundation, I feel like I've come to an evolution with the foundation in that, you know, it's almost our third birthday and we are doing so much good and helping so many people. I found some really good ways, some space that I can show up for people. I can show up for the people who we've blessed with grants and love bombs and scholarships without having to be their number one resource and walking them through the hard stuff, because I know from my emotional state, my mental state, like I can't live in the trenches every single day and be a really good mom and a really good wife. I can't do that. And so I've started creating, I still honor those trenches. And sometimes I am in those trenches, but like I have to really focus on just living because that's the whole dang point.
I think it's all just kind of like, we've touched on this a lot for me. It's just authenticity, intention, really just peeling away the things that don't matter and focusing on the things that do. And I think that that goes in so many facets of my life, not just friendships, not just as a mother and as a wife, but just like my career, what makes sense, where do I need to focus my energies, where I don't need to focus, and just kind of peeling away the unnecessary layers and just doing less and focusing more on the things that matter. And I think you guys
I
laugh that I'm like on this journey acting like some 1940s housewife over here. I find joy in baking sourdough bread, cleaning the house and taking care of things and being a homemaker. And it's just like getting down to the basics versus you almost have to because you have so much noise. You have so many things pulling at you, influencing you. And sometimes you just have to let's just go way back to the basics. And I feel more at
I feel
peace.
like we're embracing the
Yeah.
seasons of where we are as parents, where we are in friendships. Like some things don't last forever, right? And it's like honoring those things, whatever they may be. Maybe it's a client or a job or a friendship or relationship, whatever it is, the season of going to girls' night 5 nights a week. That's just not where we are. Because you know where I find joy? Being a 4-H leader on a Monday night, talking about these little kiddos like learning to give their first speech. Like I eat that up. I love it so much. And like we have to do some trade outs, you know? Like what
Yeah.
is our current season? And it doesn't mean we're mad at someone or we don't like them or we're angry. It's just like, oh, I mean, my current season right now is I only have 24 hours and I have to prioritize what I have. And like for me, it's my kid and my husband and my family and making a living because it's not cheap to live out here on these streets, you know? And then like everything else is extra. And it doesn't mean that we can only do so much.
You know how I
So
sent you that meme to you too? Well, it wasn't a meme. It was like just some stuff written down. Call the people who call you, support the people who support you, love the people that love you.
I feel like that is, yeah,
And I feel
I think
like
that's
that
big.
is I think that's a great directive for our 2025 initiatives.
Yeah.
Also,
No, I think
I
that's
sent
really
you
big.
guys something and you didn't even respond. I'm like scrolling back to find it in
When?
the group chat. Well, you guys
When?
did respond to Tucker when he told me, "You have a blessed night, little lady." But I made a key in the math class because homegirl couldn't
Oh,
give me
okay.
a key.
Listen, I looked at it. I looked at it for a long time and I was like,
Were
I
you doing
don't
math?
know what I'm looking at. I was like, did you solve it? Because I
Yeah, I
don't
did.
know if you did. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
did.
I'm bad at math. I was like, maybe she solved it. I don't
I
know.
solved it and I wanted you guys to be like, wow, you're a baddie girl. But nobody responded. I'm like, I
I
ran
almost
it.
asked, did you do math? Question.
Granted, that's seventh grade math, by the way, but I was able to do it myself. Rules for
Okay,
2025.
so
Visit who visits you, call who calls you, support who supports you, ignore who ignores you.
can I tell you, I've been doing this lately. I've stopped calling humans. Like in general, when I drive, that's usually like my talk time,
Hmm.
and I'll call people like whatever. Well, I've just stopped calling people to see who calls me.
My hard thing with like if I'm driving somewhere, I want to listen to my book. Unless it's someone that I truly care about, right? Like, right, there's going to be people that call where you're like, I'd rather talk to this person than listen to my book. That number is few and far between. Like, the number is
Depends
very
on how good the book is.
well, and even you and I sometimes we'll be talking and we'll both be like, you'll be like, I really want to finish my book. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it
I'm
is.
totally leaning into the fact that apparently Capricorns are in their villain era, and we are coming out of some like 14-year slump. I don't know, something with the moons and the stars. But for
To be a
me,
villain homemaker.
yeah, I'm just like recovering people pleaser,
I love that.
recovering having
Yeah.
to like say yes to everything. And it's like, no, it's okay to say no. In
Yep.
fact, you need to say no. You need to rest. And I think this ties into some of the studies that we're doing in our Sunday school class, where like you need to have a day of rest. You
Mhm.
need to have mindfulness where you can have, of course, it goes along with, you need to have time in prayer. You need to have time in meditation to rest your soul, and there's that tie into it. But I think we were brought up with like idle hands or the devil's workshop. If there's time to lean, there's time to clean. And I can think of all those like mantras that we've heard over and over. But I think it's going back to rest is productive in more than one way. And you have to make time for those things, because if our glass is nearing empty, how are we supposed to take care of everybody else when we're expected to be the homemakers and the caregivers and all that stuff? We have to work on ourselves first. And that whole conversation just got really deep and like inspirational quote on us.
We were raised in social media culture, but also hustle culture.
The boss babe era, let it
Oh,
die.
I'm not.
I don't want a boss babe anymore.
Don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. But rest, right? Like I really, really, Mary Kate, like you said, if we aren't resting and taking care of ourselves, we can't give that to anybody else. So, and like I know as an Enneagram one and a type A, like that's hard. Like just
Mhm.
resting, like finding time to just not have my plate completely full. And like I've been trying to do this on Sundays after church, is just like no plans. If I go out to the property and my kid plays in the sand pile and I sit and read my book or a journal or whatever and watch the chickens and the sheep that we now have, then that's my Sunday. And I'm not going to feel bad that I didn't go home and do laundry and do all these things. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with just being. And I also don't want to raise a child to see me going, 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 going. I want him to see me being intentional about my time. I still want him to be a hard worker, but I want him to have time for joy and rest. And like that was something someone brought up. I hate that question. What's your hobby? What do you do for fun? I'm like, I help people start businesses or brainstorm things or do this or that. And I'm like, oh, I read. I spend time with my kid. I like really like my
And
kid.
that's okay. That's your season.
I think we have to know that hobbies shouldn't be defined as something we can make money on.
Yeah.
Like we're not
Yeah.
allowed to say my hobbies are graphic design, blah blah blah, but it's like, no,
People say
that's your
this.
occupation. We need
Mhm.
to have a clear separation between your occupation and hobbies. And that's kind of how I like force myself to separate the two.
The mentality I've taken kind of lately is our body is a temple in the sense of like my body is a temple for God. That means it needs rest. All the studies they're doing right now about hormones and like your thyroid and all of that can be fixed with more rest. And so I think y'all knew I've been on a thyroid med for about a year and a half now, and I've lost all this weight. Like I'm also getting way better sleep now. I would go to my car almost every day and take a nap in my car. Like I needed a 30-minute nap every day just to like make it through. The body is a temple thing. Like I'm not drinking, not that I think drinking's bad and not that I won't ever drink again, but right now, like the rest and physical activity and
The fundamentals.
yeah. Yeah, I think there's something there. I don't know how we just went from hobbies to my body is a temple for God and get more sleep. So sorry, I feel like I just squirreled this whole conversation.
But the whole point of the podcast that I listened to from Mel Robbins was just about like taking back control of your life. Because truly, our whole schedules and agendas could just be overtaken by things if we let it. And I think so much of it is being like, no, this is actually my calendar. I'm in charge of it. I can say yes or no. I've done a better job lately. Like Mary Kate, you know this. Someone asked me recently to volunteer and to design something locally for a club. And I was in the middle of a project. And like a year ago, me would have been like, okay, yeah, I can get that to you by end of day. And instead I was like, no, like I cannot do that for you.
All saying no more is what it sounds like. We're all saying no.
And getting back to the basics.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Back to the basics. I
Okay.
like that. That's actually true because you're focusing in on like the 1940s housewife, and like I'm focusing in on fundamentals of like treating my body as a temple, and Brooke's leaning into like I own my calendar. We're all getting back into just the fundamentals of who we need to be the best versions of ourselves. I really like that. I like that.
Look at us out here
Who would've
thriving.
thought?
Who would have thought? Do we want to tackle another topic?
One more topic.
One more
Yes.
topic. So here's a fun question. What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no prep?
Starting a business.
Lots of things. All right, let's start a list. How to be a great friend, how to not suck as a human, how to tell people on Instagram to shut the F up. Essential oils aren't going to cure my cancer. How you should take trips and bond with your friends because someday they might be all that you have. How your natural hair is probably better than whatever color you're dyeing it. How maybe you don't need to go to college, but college is a really great experience and is kind of great for the investment. Why living in Oklahoma is the place where you should live. That's a presentation I'm going to give to you, Mary Kate Scott Pedigo. I think you should live here. What else?
What about Arizona?
Why? I
Arizona.
just don't think I'm going to be able to like move my family to Arizona. And like, it's a lifelong dream that I could like live by one of my besties. Like Mary Kate or Hannah, she's never going to leave the coast.
No,
But like with you,
and
I've got like a shot.
there's a wildlife refuge right down the road. Mr. Wildlife can come down and he can run this wildlife refuge, and you can just be right here. That's what needs to
That's
happen.
plausible. That's
That's fair.
plausible.
And his parents, I bet, would follow. They'd follow.
Probably.
I would-
Why you don't need to go to college. You could probably learn everything you need to know off the internet if you tried hard enough. Why the people you are supposed to be friends with probably aren't the people you're supposed to be friends with. Just because they sit beside you in class doesn't mean you're your people. Look at that. I just put on a whole workshop for a whole day.
Meanwhile, I was gonna be like, I'm gonna talk to you about why birth control is bad for your body and you shouldn't take it.
I just read a thing that if you have the BRCA genetic mutation for every year that you're on birth control, it increases your chances of getting cancer by 8%. Did you guys ever see the TikTok? This was multiple years ago where girlfriends were like giving their boyfriends or their spouses or whoever, they were giving them, you know, like the little piece of paper in the birth control that you unfold it and it's like a poster size. They were making their significant others read all of the possible side effects.
That should
And
be
they were like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, yeah, just this is what could happen to you.
why
Mary
I'm-
Kate, what are you going to teach us about?
yeah, tell us.
Sourdough.
Thank God
love
I
it.
would like someone to teach me. I have
Making
some
bread.
some
There's all
yeast.
kinds of things. Sourdough,
Chicken coops.
making bread, crisis communication, how to navigate a crisis. There's all kinds of things I could tell you about.
This feels like extension in 1940s. This is on brand.
Yeah, I want one on how to build the bougie chicken coop from Mary Kate.
I can talk to you about chickens all day long too. I can talk to you about cows. I can talk to you about all kinds of stuff. Gardens, general homesteading. Can you imagine if like, okay, on this episode of the podcast, we are going to learn how to start a winter garden.
Unsubscribe.
These girls are off their rocker. Unsubscribe. Speaking of the Rural Gone Urban scholarships, every single time I always tell Brooke, like, I'll say something about it, and Joseph pops up and goes, you better make sure our kids get that City Gone Country scholarship when time rolls around. And I'm like, first of all, that's not even what it's called. Second of all, Tucker's not eligible. Third of all, Lila's not even, because she's in Texas, right? It's just Oklahoma, isn't it?
No. All
No,
50
no.
states.
Oh, okay. Well,
Also, do you know who is our committee chair? I just had a meeting with her this week, our committee chair for the scholarship. committee is a Wilcox hopeful import, Taylor. She's
Mm.
just leading it all up. Leading it all up.
We're
She
gonna
just
get
killed
her
it.
there permanently. We
Yeah.
got her man on city council, so she's gotta like
He won?
he got on city council. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
she's
awesome. I didn't know.
she has no excuse now. Well, Brooke, I'm so proud of you with all that work you've done with that City Gone Country stuff.
Thank you. And this is a nice plug. I don't know when this will come out, but log into ruralgoneurban.org and buy your ticket to our fundraiser, Cocktails, Steak, and a 90s cover band. It is, in fact, the same cover band that played Ryan Bingham's wedding. So you know it's going to be a good time. Good time for a good cause. I do have a face for radio. Like, honestly, this is, if I could have just talked like this every day for the rest of my life, I'd have had a great time.
Did you just say you had a face for radio?
That's exactly what I said, Mary Kate Scott Bedigo. Thanks for coming to the party. Subscribe in all the places we stream.
Oh my gosh.
I've got the voice for YouTube.
And cut.
And star
Are we cut?
swipe.
Okay,
Okay.
this is perfect. Are we done? Brooke Taylor, Just Living 2025.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I just scrolled this whole conversation.
I don't want a boss babe anymore.
Oh my gosh.